be a sponge, and then bring the juice.
By focusing on your improvement, by focusing on your progress, and eliminating any fixed mindset that you may have and acts of perfectionism, then you encourage your own mastery.
On some level, we do what we want to do 24 hours a day. Now, sometimes it may not seem like that, but if I'm choosing to work instead of sleep, what I'm actually saying is keeping my job is more important than sleeping.
I'm tired of this. I'm tired of getting beat. What can I do to get over this hump? So mentally, that's when I kind of put that forefront, like, hey, it's either all or nothing.
I like to put failure in quotations because I don't believe that failure is true failure if you're looking at it with the right mindset.
The truth is, the journey to greatness is hard. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes focus, and every day you have to decide what you value, what you want to pursue, and what you want to achieve. And if you dig deep enough, if you push hard enough, we all have what it takes to be great. Welcome to the Edge of Greatness. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Edge of Greatness podcast. I'm your host, Charles Schultz, and today I want to dive into failure. Not just the normal conversation about failure, but I have three unique perspectives or reframes that I think if we start to really look at failure in a different way, maybe we can find a way to create success from it. So ultimately, failure is going to be a part of any journey that's great. It's going to be there. It's something that is unavoidable. But I think we do some things wrong. And these three things, if we can correct them, I think will lead us to greater success in the future. So what are those three things? The first one, we need to start looking at failure as a skill. I think everything that we do, everything that we accomplish, everything we go after, everything in life is a skill, and failure is a skill. The more we fail, the better we get at it. It takes practice. It takes time. We have to work on our responses. We have to work on how we come out of it. We have to work on all those things that happen in a moment when we fail. The first time we fail something, it's not pretty. We respond poorly. We get emotional. We don't take time to evaluate what our next steps are. As we fail more, as we get more comfortable, that response becomes better. We almost get to a point where we get labeled as resilient because we bounce back faster. But resilience comes from practicing failure, comes from being able to come back from negative situations quickly. And ultimately, that is the part of failure that we need to get better at. I also believe that when we practice failure, when we practice the skill of overcoming negative outcomes, we get better at planning for failure ahead of time. So it's a double win in that situation, because as we get better at responding to failure, we start to prepare ourselves in the future for potential failure moments and maybe even avoid them altogether. And that ultimately is another win, because the second thing that I think we do wrong is we aim for failure. There's a lot of conversation out there of, you need to fail to win, you need to aim for failure, fail fast, fail often, right? It's a lot of talk about getting to failure. And while I think failure is a very important part of every journey, it's not the target. Nobody wants to fail. Why are we aiming for failure? I first was introduced to this idea by Brian Levinson during a conversation, and it stuck with me. It stuck with me so much that I still use and talk about it today, because let's be honest, too often we are trying to fail in order to feel like we are making the progress that we're supposed to be making. But the truth is, if I try to swim 3 miles today, I'm going to drown. I'm going to fail. But it's also a failure that I have no business trying, right? The failure has to occur by doing something that we think we can do well. It has to be in an area that we think we can succeed. If the failure is beyond our grasp, beyond our reach, beyond our comprehension, that doesn't serve us. We have to continue to reach for things that are just beyond our grasp. And then if failure occurs, learn from it, grow from it, adapt because of it. The target isn't failure. Don't aim for failure. Aim for success, but be prepared for what happens if it doesn't go well. And that leads me to number 3. We're asking the wrong question. You know, I have a lot of young athletes I work with. I have a lot of new business owners, new business ventures. And the common question is, what if I fail? And that question is so wrong. It's not what if you fail. It's what do you do when you fail? Because if you're doing the game right, if you're approaching growth right, you will fail. It's going to happen. Now, like I said before, we're not aiming for failure, but we are expecting it. We are okay with it. We are prepared for it. Because we understand that when we attempt to try to step into areas that are new, that are challenging, that we've never done before, there's a possibility that we're going to fail in that moment. That is the difference. Stop looking to aim for failure. Stop worrying about what if failure. When we start to what if our life, when we start to look into the future and think, I don't know if I can succeed, you're setting yourself up for future failure without even attempting the problem in the first place. It's the quote, you know, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. The same holds true with our failures. If you don't think that you can do it, if you're afraid of failure before you even attempt it, you will probably fail more often than the person who goes, yeah, let's give it a shot. But here's what I'll do if I don't get it right. Here's my plan for when it goes wrong. I love the idea of failure. I think failure is such an important part of our journey. But we have to stop looking at failure the way we currently do. There has to be a reframe that allows us to see the direction we need to go without implying that failure is a target or fearing an outcome, and understanding also that we will get better at it over time. If we avoid failure our entire life, the skill doesn't get good. If we aim for failure, we're damn well going to hit it. And if we worry about failure, it's probably going to show up. Eliminate those 3 things. Focus on what you can do to get better. And just keep going after it. I think there's great success in your future, but it starts here. Let's start to get a little bit better at how we see what we're doing, how we reframe old terms, how we attack our success. As always, guys, keep reaching for the stars. While flat on your face, remember, whenever we fall, always get up. Thank you for joining us today on the Edge of Greatness podcast. If you haven't yet, please take a minute now to subscribe and review our show. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the key components of greatness. The path to greatness is never linear, so remember to keep pursuing greatness no matter what. Keep stretching your abilities, reach for the stars, and fall flat on your face. But remember, no matter what happens, whenever we fall, always get up. Until next time, I'm Charles Schultz, and this was the Edge of Greatness podcast.